North Cyprus versus Antalya. Which one gives you better investments and more lifestyle opportunities? If we compare North Cyprus with Turkey, Antalya is a deliberate choice. You might ask why not Izmir, Istanbul or Ankara? Because Antalya most closely mirrors North Cyprus in terms of lifestyle and buyer intentions. It's driven by a coastal and resort-oriented lifestyle with the coastal living by the sea. It's combination of the rental income, tourism demands, and also normal family living with the investment potential. That's why when people choosing between the North Cyprus and Turkey, they truly not compare between the countries. They specifically compare locations. For instance, in Antalya, it's Konyaaltı or Lara, and for the North Cyprus, it could be Kyrenia, İskele or Famagusta. At the first glance, the offer and appearance similar, the sea, climates, and the investments, and the apartment by the sea. However, in reality, they are two fundamentally different markets. When evaluating the real estate market, the price should not be the prime focus. The key factors to consider are liquidity, exit strategy, and currency exposure with the annual income. The Antalya market operates in Turkish lira. Due to inflation, the nominal prices looks like increasing constantly. However, when you adjust it to euro or US dollar, the strategy and the picture is very different. Growth of the real estate market is not so strong as it seems. In the contrast, the North Cyprus real estate market operates in the British pound, providing greater currency stability and predictability. Assets in the local currency tend to fluctuate more. Assets that's priced in the strong currencies, in the foreign currencies, gives and offers better capital preservation. And an important nuance often overlooked, prime areas such as Konyaaltı and Lara in some cases can be priced at levels comparable to North Cyprus. One-bedroom apartment units approximately cost 75 up to 115,000 pounds. However, the critical question is not just the price points. It's actually the value delivered for that price. In Antalya, this budget often corresponds to the older house in stock, not so contemporary apartment, and limited differentiations and criteria, minimal standout appeal, and potential compromise on the location. In North Cyprus, same budget can offer you newly built developments and fully serviced residential complexes with the high rental potential, more marketable format products, similar enterprise but fundamentally different strategies and the product offers. As for Antalya, we can say the more mature and established real estate market. Here is more high liquidity and more straightforward resale process. However, we can say the strong competition and quite big supply of older properties and the seasonal rentals. As for the North Cyprus real estate, it's more emerging market with the growth potential. Modern developments dominate supply, however, lower liquidity in comparison with Turkey. Therefore, we can say that Antalya represents the stability-driven market, and North Cyprus represents growth-oriented market with the high rental potential. Rental performance is one of the key factors for the investors. In North Cyprus, the typical property can generate around €700 per month for the rental income, which translates into annual return approximately 7 to 9%, and relatively stable occupancy that results in stable income. In Antalya, rental income typically range between 400 up to €500 per month. This corresponds to annual yields around 4 up to 5%. However, the income can be affected by seasonality, meaning that occupancy and the rental rates can be fluctuate depending on the time of the year. It's essential to take the regulatory factors into account, such as the short-term rentals require a license. In apartment buildings, all the co-owners have to approve your rental in order to have this license. Rental income is the subject of the progressive taxation, from 15 up to 40%. A tax-free allowance is available around 47,000 Turkish lira per year. Failure in comply may result to the bigger financial penalties. Short-term rental operation platforms such as Airbnb actually keeps operated in Turkey, but now function with the more limited and structural framework. Foreign ownership is limited up to 10% per the district. If the limit is reached, that's why certain area may be restricted and not allowed for the foreign buyers. For the North Cyprus, we have to compare and look at the title deeds type. It could be Turkish title deeds, Taksis or exchange, or there are different subtitles like Mujahid, English title deeds. That's why you have to check it before purchasing. In general limits, it's up to 3 units per the foreign buyers, but sometimes you can just register on the one of your family member. A formal purchasing process like the purchasing permits and the sum of the procedures with the registration in the land district office are following in North Cyprus. Therefore, Turkey applies the territorial restrictions. North Cyprus operates through the legal and structural framework. Minimum wage in North Cyprus is estimated around 1,000 euro, as for the Turkey is about 650 euro. And that actually shows overall market for purchasing power and demand capacity. Turkey is gradually redefining the approach to the foreign investments, increased the focus on the large-scale investors, strategic investors, tighter regulation and oversight, reduced flexibility for the private real estate investors. The tradition buy to let without any restrictions model now is becoming less viable. Additionally, annual administrative costs for the getting residency can reach around 20 to 30,000 Turkish lira per year per person. The market became more structured but less flexible. As for the lifestyle and the cost of the living, we can say that Antalya remains approximately 30% cheaper than North Cyprus. But in comparison with the quality and service, North Cyprus can be more surprised in a better way. As for the typical expenses in Antalya, for the dinner you can pay 7 up to 9 euro per meal, and for the monthly rental it can reach 400 up to 500 euro per month. As for the North Cyprus, like lunch can cost you around 12 up to 15 euro. As for the North Cyprus, we can compare the rental income about 700 euro per month. Key aspect: Turkey is high exposure to the inflation volatility. Let's talk about the climates because it affects your daily life. In Antalya, temperature can reach up to 45 degrees in summer and it's quite high humidity. And during the high season, peak season, we can say there are lots of tourists and it's became more crowded. In North Cyprus, temperature usually go up to 38 degrees, but the climate and the weather seems more dry. The atmosphere here is more comfortable and more relaxed because there is not so plenty tourists as in Antalya. That's why we can say that Antalya is more energy and dynamic city, as for the North Cyprus, it's more relaxed, oriented lifestyle. Antalya is generally a safe city, but when you're talking about the touristic destination, it does require more attention and more awareness. As for the North Cyprus, is more relaxed atmosphere and very low crime rates. When it comes to education, there are some key differences. In Antalya, the education system is mainly Turkish language based. The international schools are available, but they are more limited and sometimes can be more pricey. In North Cyprus, the international environment exists and here English is widely spoken language. And here we have an access to Cambridge and British education system. University costs also differ. As for the Turkey, it will differ and vary about 3 up to 12,000 euro per year. As for the North Cyprus, with the international student discounts provided, it could reach 2,000 up to 4,000 euro per year. Antalya requires more greater adaptation to the Turkish system. North Cyprus offers more smoother transition to the international environments. At first glance, Antalya and North Cyprus may look very similar, but they offer very different scenarios. As for Antalya, it's already well-established, matured and more liquid real estate markets, low cost of living and more structural resale process, sales structure, but increasing regulations and some economic volatility. North Cyprus pricing links to the more foreign and stronger currency, high rental yields and more modern contemporary apartments, more relaxed lifestyle, secure and more international environment. The most important question: are you planning to invest or are you planning to buy for yourself? If you are looking for the stability, it looks like Antalya is better. But if you are thinking about more growth potential for the rental income and for the more secure lifestyle, then North Cyprus is the best choice. Choosing the country is only 50% of the success. The real outcome depending on selecting the right location, right districts and region, and of course the right project. I'll cover that in the next edition.